Hey, good afternoon. So, welcome to my blog. Welcome to my channel. It's great to have you here, all like 5 or 6 of you, however many people watch this. What I wanted to talk about a little bit this afternoon was something that's on my website, RogersGroupNYC.net. Shameless plug. You should go there and check it out. It's great. But I've got this portion on it under the services, and one of the services I list, it's called private jet training. And I had a buddy of mine the other day. The reason why I'm talking about this is a buddy of mine was giving me a hard time the other day. And he's like, "The hell do you know about private jet training? You don't even fly a plane." I was like, "Hold on, you must not have read the whole thing, did you?" I don't know anything about flying a jet. No, it's private jet training in a sort of last minute situation for a lot of executives that look. I know a lot of people don't use private jets, never been on a private jet. A lot of executives do. A lot of people on Wall Street, a lot of people in corporate America, they fly on corporate jets. It doesn't necessarily mean you're a big shot necessarily. It's becoming more and more common. It makes sense time-wise, expense-wise. There's different models now that have brought the cost down, so it's more common than you might think. Anyway, where does this come from my side? Like, how did I come up with this idea? So I spent a long time on Wall Street, about 16, 17 years, and I met a lot of good people, made a lot of good friends. One of my good buddies from my Wall Street days, I'm not going to tell you who he is or where he lives. He likes to keep a little profile, but he's really, really wealthy. So he's one of those types. And he jets around on his private jet all the time. So he called me up, this is a couple months ago, but he called me up, and at the time, he was in Mexico City. And he said, "Listen, Brian, I'm going to fly up to Los Angeles, and then I'm going to fly to New York, so I'll be in New York." He said, "I'll be in New York around 6 p.m. in the evening, my time. So I'll be there around 6. I'm going to be there for about 4 hours. I've got to spend a couple hours with my lawyers, and then I want to meet with you for 2 hours. And when I'm in New York, I want to sit down, and I want to talk about this presentation that I'm giving in London. It's to the board of a company that's potentially going to do a deal with one of my companies. And it's a deal I really want to do, and this meeting is really important. So I want to sit with you for 2 hours, and I want to go through the pitch. I want you to look at my slides. I want you to, talk to me about the story narratives I'm using, the persuasive tips I'm using, all this stuff. He's worked with me in the past. He knows what I do. He knows how I think, and he knows it's going to be worth his while. So he says, "Look, I only need 2 hours. I'll pay you your full day rate, no problem. But just sit down with me. As soon as I get there, I'll send you a text. We can meet in Midtown, etc." I said, "No problem. I look forward to it." I was super excited, right? A full day's pay, 2 hours, working with a guy that I've known for years, that I like, and I know I'm going to help him. I know I'm going to make his presentation better. I'm really excited. All right. So then fast forward a couple hours later, or I don't know, 3, 4 hours later, he calls me then from Los Angeles, and he says, "Brian, listen, plans have changed a little bit. My meeting in London has been pushed from like an early 10 a.m. meeting to like a 2 p.m. meeting. So it got changed a little bit." So he said, "I've got more time." He says, "What I want," he goes, "this is what I want to do now. I want you to fly with me. I want you to come with me from New York. I want you to fly with me to London. And then I want to work with you all the flight over on the pitch and the presentation. I want to work on my verbal, my nonverbal, as well as the content and the structure of the slides. When we get there, we'll have a few hours in the hotel before the presentation, so we got a few hours to go over any last minute details. I want all this time from you. I want you to be committed. There's going to be no sleep, so if you need to sleep, sleep now." So he's one of those guys that is total type A. He works nonstop. I think like 3 hours a night for him is more than enough. He's like one of those Nikola Tesla types. He's always working. So he knew, like, get ready. Like, you're not on my level. Get your sleep. So I was glad. I was like, all right, good. Let me take a nap. But I was excited. He said, "Look, I'll give you 2 days on your foreign pay rate. So my outside U.S. rate for 2 days is like $6,500. I'll pay for your hotel. I'll pay for your food. I'll pay for your cabs and trips to the airport, whatever that stuff. Obviously, I'll pay for that. You don't have to say it, but I'll pay for that. What do you think?" And I said, I was so excited. I said, "Absolutely." I had some stuff already planned. It all got canceled. No problem. I'm with you. I'm on board. Let's go. So I was absolutely excited. I was going to make 2 days of my foreign rates like $6,500. Good money, right? Get everything paid for. Work with this guy. Have great. Super jazzed. Right. So this is how the idea popped into my head. Not really popped into my head, dropped into my lap, I guess is more appropriate. But all of a sudden now I started thinking like, wow, this is like a business opportunity. Well, what happened was he calls me around 5:36 when I was expecting him to call me, but he wasn't in New York. He was in Atlanta. For some reason, their plane there was a storm or something, and they got diverted, and he didn't make it to New York. So he ended up. We talked and I did a bunch of stuff for him on the presentation and slides, and we had some calls, but I didn't fly with him. I didn't get to do the private jet trip, but it almost worked out, and it sparked the idea that this occasion probably happens more frequently than you might think. You get asked to do a last-minute pitch, and you've got to go to Asia, right? And it's 14, 15, 16 hours on a flight. It's a long time. You got a lot of time to prep, though. You got a lot of time on your hands when you can practice for this and prepare. And so having someone like me with the services I can provide on a trip like that, especially if it's a pressure, really high priority scenario for you, really want to get it, it can make a lot of sense, right? When you look at how much my rate is compared to losing some of these big deals, it's like, it's not even a rounding error, right? It doesn't even make sense to not consider it. So it's a really reasonable thing, I think, to think about. If you have last minute planning for some big event, some speech, something you want to make sure your presentation looks good, your slides are right, call me up, talk to me, we'll figure out something, I'll make it work. Be more than happy to travel with you. This could also work as well on like the Amtrak, right? Some people maybe you're going to DC for a pitch or Boston for meet investors, and you're going to be on the Amtrak. You want me to travel with you? We can work something like that out as well. All right. Look, I'm here to help people. I want to help people, and I think especially if you've ever worked with me and you know what kind of work I can do in a normal, calm scenario. If you put me into a last-minute, last-second pressure scenario, look, I'm an ex-Marine. I was a bond trader on Wall Street for years. I handle stress like no one's business. You'll really appreciate me in one of those situations. So anyway, that's my quick story on the private jet. Go check out my website, and I'll see you soon.